What's up, Western Oregon? Episode 3 of the TD show. We're back, and this is an extremely special one. We got Adam Fugitt in the building. He's about to make his 3rd appearance in the UFC. Does that set in for you? I mean, 3 appearances. Many people don't get the opportunity to step into that UFC cage one time in their lives. They fight their entire lives. You're about to make your 3rd appearance. How does that feel?
I mean, it's a dream come true. It's a surreal feeling, and I'm excited, to get in there and show everybody what I'm worth again.
Yeah, it's going to be a big-time fight
100%.
in Vancouver. I mean, we are pumped for this. We got people at the station making the trip up to Vancouver to come see you. A lot of excitement around this one. UFC 289. It's going to be on June 10th. You're going to fight Mike Malott, and he's a pretty legit opponent you're going to be stepping into the cage with, to say the least. What are your initial impressions of what he can do?
He's a guy that is super athletic. He moves very well. He sits down, he throws hard. I mean, if you ask him, he hits harder than me. So, we're going to find out on Saturday. And, he's kind of very similar to me, right? So It makes for a tricky matchup. He does a lot of things well. I do a lot of things well. And I just think it's going to be kind of more of a battle of attrition, right? Who wants it more? Who's prepared correctly in their camp, and that's kind of what I think it's going to come down to. It's probably going to be a potential fight of the year candidate, if you ask me.
I was going to be so pumped.
No, I was going to say, man, I mean, both of you guys have finishes in a lot of your fights, and I feel like this is just going to be an all-out war between you two. I mean, I don't know if it's going to go down to the scorecards or if it's going to be a finish, but I guarantee that this is going to be a fight that everyone's going to be talking about on this UFC card.
That's what I hope. I want to go in there and I want to deliver performances that fans remember, kind of like the fights I remember watching growing up in the sport, the Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner fight classic, the Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald fight classic, I want to deliver those fights that, last through time, and people constantly go back and have you seen Adam versus Mike Malott? And that's what I want.
Yeah, where did that mentality come from for you? Is that from being a fan? Because you see a lot of guys, they just want to step into the cage, do their thing. And you have a wrestling background. Wrestlers sometimes have that reputation of the more plodding fights, but it doesn't seem like you have that mentality. Where do you think that comes from for you?
Just the competitor in me. The competitor in me, and just I don't know, the want to just put somebody, like a smile on somebody's face, to bring joy to their night, to be a little bit uplifting, even though we're in there doing a combat sport and everybody thinks it's this brutal thing, I don't know. I think that's the way to be remembered, right? A lot of fighters are going in there for paychecks, and, they want to be the best. Well, I want to be the best, but I also want to, make memorable fights.
Definitely done that so far.
Yeah, 100% with your last fight. But I mean, so we're about 2 weeks away, just about under 2 weeks away. How's training camp been going for you? What's been like, your day-to-day routine so far in training camp? What's different with this preparation against Mike Malott compared to the other fights?
The preparation in this camp isn't far off of what it was in the last camp. It's my daily routine. I'm waking up at like 7. I'm lifting weights by 9 o'clock, doing a striking workout or a grappling workout by 11, going home for a little bit of, time off in between, basically working a split shift,
Right.
And then I'm back in the gym in the evening, running through my practices there, my intense practices. And so it's basically getting like 2 a days. In the mornings, 11 o'clock, we kind of do more strategy focused stuff, but keep it kind of light since I just lifted or did some cardio over at Convergence PT. And so it's just basically 2 a days. Every camp is going to have its ups and downs. I'm a major head case when it comes to camp. I could go in there and do 5 rounds, and win every round and come out of there with a submission, and I'm going to pick myself apart, and I'm going to figure out where I messed up, and I'm going to focus in on that. So I'm very lucky to have people around me that are like, dude, what do you come on, settle down. You just went 5 rounds and everybody else gassed out and you got submissions, and you got taken down once, but that's the name of the game. You're going to get taken down, you got to get back up. So or you got to reverse the position. So it's just been It's always going to have its ups and downs, and it's just like, I have no knowledge of surfing whatsoever, but I assume that's what it's like when you're out there riding a wave. You just got to kind of go with the flow and know at any time it can kind of close up on you and ruin your ride. So, don't focus on that. Just focus on getting to the end of it.
I remember in one of our last conversations. Do you almost have to ramp down like your training right before the fight? Like, do you want to be like in peak like condition right then? Because isn't that kind of a balancing act in and of itself?
100%. I'm in our little ramping down stage as we speak. My last hard practice is actually going to be tonight.
There we go.
Go in there, they're going to throw everybody at me and then some. And after tonight, it'll be a little bit more just strategical and positionally focused. A lot less, impact, a lot less live goes. We want to take away any potential risk of injury at this point. The cardio I have now is the cardio I'm going to go in there with, and the muscle I'm going to go in there with. I'm not going to build any more of that. So, it's just going to be much more focused on the task at hand, some positions I think that I can get into and really like seal the deal on the fight. And it's all focused for for June 10th.
Yeah, and that's another thing with training camps too, is like the way a bunch of UFC fighters go about it. Some of them, they go hard the entire time. Some of them don't even spar. And then I don't know if you guys saw the McGregor documentary. Got his freaking pinky toe dislocated before his Khabib fight. So that's good that you have it figured out with when to go hard and when to not. But you said in a separate interview that you kind of had a hunch you were going to fight Mike Malott. What was that hunch? What was your thinking when you saw it? Like you said.
Yeah, I was interested in this too.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
It was another fight night, and me and my girlfriend were sitting there watching the fights, and his fight came on, and he ended up getting an arm triangle in the first round, and we had been, basically, I'd been told, hey, be prepared. They might want you for a quick turnaround since your last one, and I hadn't heard anything, and at this point, I'm like, I bet you, he just got an early finish. I just got an early finish. I could see them trying to put us on the card here pretty quick, Yeah. And so I told her, I was like, I bet you they're going to call me for a fight against this guy in the next, couple weeks. And it didn't end up being a couple weeks. It ended up being like a month or two out. But just seeing him get an early finish and knowing I got an early finish, and he was 1 week after me, so. I just had this vibe that we would be getting a call for a fill-in fight. Maybe something would fall off. I had no idea that they were going to bump us to a main card in Vancouver. I know that he's a hometown Canadian, and so maybe that's why we got the push over to go there since Stephen Thompson and Michael Pereira fell off. But that's a dream come true to be on a main card. That's where I want to be. That's where the most eyes are going to be on you. That's where you can potentially put yourself in for some fight of the night bonuses. And
like you mentioned before, he is going to be a hometown. The crowd's going to be on his side. But you've been in this position before in enemy territory, deep in there. So, what's this mentality going into this fight? Obviously you wanted, you said you've had people doubt you in the past. You want to,
Yeah, they keep putting you in this role.
Yeah.
They keep putting you in that enemy territory role, and you keep making people a lot of money with that underdog stat.
This is your typical Adam Fugitt fight,
Yeah, it is.
You don't hear my name without thinking of me as the underdog and going into enemy territory, and at this point I just thrive on it, I think at the beginning of every camp I'm like, man, they're really going to doubt me again? They're going to be that stupid? Okay, let's just go in there and show them again, and I've just fallen into this very comfortable spot with it. I like playing that role. I think it's another way to get remembered. It's another way to garner a lot of fans when you screw up the Vegas odds makers bets, Another thing I like doing is putting money in people's pockets. So yeah, I'm excited, and it's just another opportunity for me, and it's a bigger opportunity. It's a main card, Third fight in the UFC, and to tell me I was going to have a fight on the main card, I wouldn't have believed you. I figured I'd be, down around the beginning of an Apex card or something, or a fight night.
You still on cloud nine with that feeling, man? Just knowing that you're on a main card.
It's surreal. It really is, walking out there the first time against Michael Malott, you're the third fight on the card, and there's people trickling in, but it's not, it's
still
not
getting their popcorn, still getting their soda.
That's right. We got to use the bathroom before the main card comes up, and so knowing I'm going to be walking in there and it's probably going to be the fullest,
Butts are going to be in seats.
Yeah.
And they're going to be rooting for them.
And I want to go in there and I want to put on a performance for those cheeks in the seats. So,
The cheeks in the seats.
Cheeks in the seats. That'd be the title of this episode, honestly.
Yeah. I think you just gave us a perfect title there. But there's a lot of similarities between you guys, and we've touched on a few of them. But you both fought Solomon Renfro to kind of get into the UFC. He did to get in the Contender Series. That was your big fight. That was supposed to be Solomon Renfro's big tryout fight, and you ruined that in the Buffalo area. So does that help you at all, having a common opponent to kind of analyze it all?
I don't really think of it in those terms. I've studied a lot of his fights, and I just try to find tendencies. I try to find things that he likes to do. I don't really look at the opponent so much. It's like, because your game plan can change from each fight. And that's what I think about when I'm fighting, and trying to be a melting pot with, it's like, which one of my tools is going to best help me against this guy, and how can I see what he likes to do and put those tools in motion, basically.
That makes sense.
You do have a lot of these tools. You got your Muay Thai, you got your wrestling, you got your grappling. What's one aspect of your fighting, your style or whatever, that you want people to notice on that night against Malott?
There isn't really one aspect, I want to be that guy that is known that for his versatility.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to be known as the melting pot, the guy that has the bag of tools that can pull it out, basically wherever the fight takes it. So I'm not looking to get this fight any specific spot. I know that basically I want to operate on my own terms, and that's going to be a major key for me in this one.
Yeah, that kick. Your kicks have been nuts. The teep, right?
Yeah, the teep. Yep. The teep, the round kick that slowed Solomon down.
And I was watching your fight, your last fight last night, and of course there's that pivotal moment. A minute in, you take that kick, but you take him down right away. I mean, that was such a crazy momentum shift. Is that just the type of adversity? Is that something you could prepare for, or is that just something that has to come in the cage? Because that was a crazy swing in that fight. I think that might have been the difference in that fight, honestly.
Definitely. He was getting really comfortable in his range. Hence getting, the kick, taking the kick. He was getting comfortable at his pace and his range, and you got to put them on their back foot a little bit. You got to make them second guess. I constantly, preach to my fighters, when they start getting comfortable, we have to start giving them negative repercussions for doing things. And if you're just going to try to march into my space, you might march too close and find yourself, with me on your legs. Or if you hang back a little too far, you might be catching, the kick.
It's like when I go over on time and Danny has to give me that negative reinforcement of yelling in my ear, you just got to put me in my place.
That's
it's the same thing in the cage. So similar to the world
100%.
in the cage.
Let me pick your brain a little bit. So what I've seen with other fighters is when they're in the cage, some of them have had so many different experiences. One I've seen that's been a little common is they kind of have like an out-of-body experience. Like they kind of see themselves from like a bird's eye view. Like Corey Sandhagen mentioned, like when he's in a fight, he literally sees himself like from like the outside of it. What about you when you're in like the cage? Like what's going through your head?
Really, the last couple of it's just you mentioned like the fans are going to be there, and it's his hometown, and you're going to get booed as well. It's to me, it's just like there's nothing outside of the cage. It's pretty much all black. I just don't hear any of that. It's just, I don't know. I guess you could kind of compare it to those sports movies where the music gets real quiet and it's kind of got that echo effect. And that's for me kind of what I go into.
There you go.
It's just really like filtered tunnel vision. it's just me and that person in there. It's almost kind of intimate, you know.
It's like cinematic almost.
Yeah.
It really feels like you mentioned movies. Does it feel like you're like in a Rocky movie almost?
I mean, that's kind of what it feels like, you know.
They're definitely trying to make him the Rocky with all these fights in enemy territory.
That's right.
You got a walkout song picked for this fight?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with "Deliverance" from Bubba Sparks again. It's been kind of my go-to.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had it for forever. I just like the vibes to it, and it's got, you know, it's not one of those songs that start out real slow. I know maybe the fans will catch on one of these days, and the thunderclap will start happening. You know?
That'd be great.
A few more fights in. So many times, I feel like Anderson Silva had that. It's like a hype song, but it builds up all the way until they're at the cage,
That's
and
right.
the beat doesn't drop until they're like fighting practically. I like that. I like
you look
that.
at like Tuivasa, he's coming out to like Spice Girls, and he's trying to get the crowd all excited and hyped up, and he's doing shoeies and everything.
Yeah.
But going back to Vancouver,
Shoey's messed up. The Shoey is still messed up, I would say.
A little toe jam with your alcohol. Everybody loves it.
The worst is when he grabs another person's shoe.
Yes, that's
It's like, at least do your own shoe, but he'll grab another dude's like, you don't know where that foot's been.
The crazy thing is it probably raises the alcohol content somehow, you know?
All the germs mixed in. That's a cocktail and a half.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
So we've mentioned already multiple times, you know, you're going to be in enemy territory, but this is not your first time in Vancouver. You had your amateur Muay Thai start in Vancouver. How does it feel now going from there, going to like almost like full circle?
I love it. It was actually like last year we went up to Tacoma to do a Muay Thai fight for my girlfriend, and the trainer that basically said, you know, hey, Adam, we got Adam a fight up here, send him up. At the time, my trainer, he couldn't make it up with me, so he's like, don't worry, I will corner Adam, which he's, you know, very just authentic, classic, old Thai guy that, you know, he doesn't do these kinds of things. You know, he doesn't coach other athletes. He basically took me in and he said, you know, I'll be in your corner, don't worry. And so we went up to Tacoma and saw him, and I hadn't seen him in like 5 years. And the first thing he, you know, does is, oh, my champion, and
That's
gives me
awesome.
this big hug. So I'm excited to get back up there where my Muay Thai career started, essentially, you know, and get back in that you know, just that culture of Muay Thai that Vancouver has. It's so strong up there, and see, you know, potentially even see Master Song again, you know, up there. Maybe he goes out to the fights, or maybe I got to go visit his little gym there in Vancouver, BC, and see how he's doing. But it just feels like perfect timing, you know.
Yeah.
It's all coming back full circle.
Yeah.
You know, this is something, you know, UFC's been a dream of mine, and now that I'm accomplishing it and being able to go back there in Vancouver where it all started, it just, like I said, it feels.
You know, I'm going to push back a little bit too. You know, we're saying you're in enemy territory. He's the Canadian. He wanted, you know, he was one of the guys pushing. But we're in the Pacific Northwest, baby.
That's right.
This is also your backyard too, and I think you're going to have your fair share of fans too in the building.
I think so. I think a lot of. I just know that there's a big fight following up there, and I think a lot of those fans that watch those two fights in Muay Thai, you know, and have kept up with it, I'm sure they're gonna be there cheering for me. So it feels like enemy territory, but it also feels like home to me.
We're on our side, baby.
Yeah.
We're on the West Coast right
I
now.
feel like the Pacific Northwest doesn't get enough credit for MMA.
No.
I mean, you talk about Muay Thai up in Vancouver, even here in Eugene, the amount of gyms that are here in Eugene, you know, we got Art of War, we got Autos. It blows my mind that it's like, I mean, we have Florida, we have, you know, the West Coast down in San Diego and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, Pacific Northwest, I feel like it needs more credit, you know.
100%, and that's, I mean, hence why I've made it a commitment to pave the Oregon Trail here. You know, we have so many good fighters, you know, from so many good gyms, like you mentioned, you know, Performance Grappling, another one, 10th Planet Springfield, another one.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many great gyms here, and so many good fighters. Kevin Boehm, he finally made it to Bellator. Christopher San Jose, you know.
That's my guy, you know, that's my guy.
He's your guy, and honestly, he was right there knocking at the door.
He's a beast, man.
And got, unfortunately didn't get into the Ultimate Fighter House, which, you know, Dana White, UFC, if you guys watch this one, you know, you guys, I think he had the winner of the UFC, or the Ultimate Fighter right there. I think that he beats the guy that won at 135, you know, 9 out of 10 times, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got plenty of great fighters. We got plenty of people up and coming, Before me, there's Evan Dunham, there's Brent Primus, obviously Colby Covington's from Springfield, there's plenty of talent here. And I just, I'm sick of our guys having to go other places to these bigger gyms. And with bigger gyms comes its own flaws, it's
100%.
It's kind of like a Shark Tank or you go there and it's just a lot of guys in the room that are, they're looking to make their shot and they're willing to go through anybody, even, quote unquote teammates. They say you don't have teammates in MMA, but like if you're going to a gym, you build friendships and stuff. And so I hate when these guys go away to these bigger spots and they, their careers get ruined because of injuries in the training room,
It's almost like school, right? Where it's like sometimes having the smaller class and getting the attention from your professor, your teacher, or whatever, versus getting lost in the shuffle when you have like 50 kids in there and you're maybe not getting that attention, right?
Exactly.
And with that in mind, what's made you stick with Art of War compared to any of the other fighting gyms, whether there's a bunch in Portland, here in Eugene itself, or anywhere else in the Pacific Northwest? What about Art of War sticks out so much?
And do you get calls like from other gyms to come train with them, that type of thing?
That's just not, that's not me. I don't get calls for sponsors and other gyms and stuff. I don't know. I think I'm just quiet and I don't know. I just don't. I guess I don't send those vibes out.
Yeah.
So no, I don't get those things. I did try out and go to Vegas 1 year and decided to go try the bigger gym thing, and it's like you said. You got too many classmates to one teacher. So you don't get the attention that you need, so you're not getting the development, or there's only so many techniques that can be taught, and if your coach isn't constantly, the coach has got more of a job than just running a practice, right? They should also be a student. And so what I think with some of these bigger gyms is these bigger gym coaches, they kind of start settling on the things that they know because there's only so many hours in a day. They have to run a practice. They always have fighters in camp, so which takes up a ton of time. Jason gives me all his time and energy. Cobb gives me all his time and energy. Chris, likewise. And both of my wrestling coaches that I have at Art of War right now, it's when my training camp comes up, it's all about my fight, and there's no other outside attention, or it's just directly everybody's working for June 10th, and I love that.
And let's meet this team, because that's the cool thing about Adam is he's local. This guy went to Willamette. You train downtown, so this is a guy you could see on the street. He hasn't left Eugene. He's homegrown and still here. So it's kind of meet the team over at Art of War. So you mentioned Jason Georgiana, right?
Correct.
He's your head coach.
Yep.
What makes him special as a coach for you? And is he's the main guy, like speaking in your corner? Would you say like the main voice, or there's kind of a give and take there?
It's a collective,
Yeah, okay.
Jason's the guy probably that has the mic on. He's been in my corner ever since I started my MMA. And he's like you said, he's a head coach, and he is the prime example of what a head coach should be. He makes sure that all the other coaches are working together and cohesively. He's making sure that I'm getting into each one of my practices on time. He's really, I don't want to say micromanager, but he's definitely kind of like the micromanager, making sure all the parts are working, right? All the little intricate details, without him, it's going to be a little bit more chaos, Maybe we don't get started on time in a Muay Thai practice because we're over there, chit-chatting and stuff, he's accountability, for sure.
Yeah, so I go into the gym sometimes. I haven't been in a while. I got a bum knee right now, but Chris San Jose, who we mentioned, he tortures me in there sometimes. You'll see me huffing and puffing. Hasn't made that much of a difference in the physique, because you can't go to PF Chang's and work out and expect it to pay off. But
calories in versus calories out, my friend.
Yes, I really need to learn that. I'm like, man, I trained once a week for a month. Why don't I have the six pack yet? But really, really good. environment in there. So Chris is going to be in your corner as well. He seems like a very calm guy, very chill guy to have in your corner.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, just stoic, calm demeanor. You know, he's going to be, you know, kind of like quarterbacking the stand-up for me. You know, he's going to make sure that I'm not overcommitting, not making mistakes. You know, yeah, he's the dude that I'm going to rely on heavily in the stand-up portion of the fight, and we all know that that's where the fight starts. You know, it's on the feet. So very crucial to have somebody you trust in there. You know, and he's been working closely with Cobb Tongsai, my Muay Thai instructor, for years, who can't make this one unfortunately, but you know, so it's nice to have that immediate, you know, person I can, you know, fall back on when the main coach can't be there.
So you have all your coaches that are going to be coming up there with you, but I also I did a little homework, and I saw that your girlfriend was there at your last fight.
Mm-hmm.
How is that, having her with you? Because there's other UFC fighters where they're like, once training camp starts, their wife and kids are just not even, they don't exist. They might as well be single for the whole training camp. But it seems like your girlfriend's very involved. I mean, obviously she also trains as well. So how is it, that relationship with her, you know, whenever you're, you know, getting into training camp and stuff like that?
I mean, she also trains and she also fights. She's, you know, I don't know, I'm gonna hype her up. She's the best amateur female, you know, I believe in the Pacific Northwest right now. She's been off with school for this last year, but she's getting ready to start back up. Mm-hmm. She's been really working hard in the gym, you know, basically just trying to develop her skills. So, yeah, maybe she'll be here talking to you at the
do another
in the
MMA
future,
special.
you know?
Have
Yeah.
her
That would be cool. I mean, that would be awesome. I'm not sure I knew that.
Yeah.
Do you guys like spar against each other, get all that going?
Of course, you know,
Yeah.
any healthy relationship's right?
Involves putting on the gloves and fighting.
That's right. But to answer your question, she's first off, there's no stopping her. She's definitely gonna be up there the week of the fight. You know, I couldn't tell her no by any means, and I wouldn't want to tell her no. She's you know, cliche, but she's the rock. You know, that kind of keeps my mentality together. Like I said, I'm a little bit of a head case. You know, I can be hot and cold at any moment, and so she, you know, she keeps me even keel. And you know, when push comes to shove, if I need anything or need a moment, you know, you know, just by myself, all I gotta do is look at her and give her the old code word, and she's kicking everybody out of the room and giving me my space.
Cool.
And so
quite literally kicking everyone out.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, you don't want those hands or those kicks.
No,
you know.
100%.
That's cool that you have someone that understands intimately like what the fight game's like. She understands what it's like to be punched in the face. I mean, that's pretty cool to have that, you know, that understanding and that connection of doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. We actually just celebrated our 2 years.
There you go. Congrats.
Yeah,
Congrats, man.
yeah. So it's been awesome.
Well, I think something else we definitely want to hit, especially for our local audience, is your time at Willamette in wrestling. Tell us how you got into that and kind of the impact that had on you.
I mean, that kicked everything off right there. I was always just a hyper kid, you know, that was very athletic, played a lot of sports, you know. Had I don't know, personality that was a little quiet, but, you know, I don't know, I think also rubbed people the wrong way, you know. Not, let's just say I didn't get along with everybody all the time.
He was the bad boy at Willamette.
I was not the bad boy. It was quite the opposite. I was quiet, and I just, you know, yeah. And I found wrestling, and Ricochet was my wrestling coach. Huge part of my life, you know, helping me grow as a man, and you know, I just knew the second that I stepped on those mats and felt that kind of competition, you know, where it's you versus somebody else, and the time and the effort and the preparation put in is gonna, you know, directly affect the outcome of that event, you know. I don't have to rely on anybody else. There's not, you know, 5, 10 other teammates on the field, you know, that have to do everything right all the time. You know, there's none of that. You know, there's not going to be any hostility. So, I immediately realized, like, I had avoided trying to go on the wrestling mats. My dad had been trying to get me to go on the wrestling mats since, like, I don't know, I was 7 or 8, and I never made it out. And so I just realized right then and there, I was like, man, I avoided something for so long that it's going to be so awesome for me moving forward, and just knew right then and there that that's, I had found something that really made me kind of whole and complete.
Was your dad a wrestler, or did you have any other like family members that were really into wrestling, whether it was like high school, college, or anything like that, or any fighting in general?
My dad will tell you he wrestled 1 year in high school, and then kind of gave up on it. But he always tried to coach me off of that 1 year.
Classic dad move.
Love you, Dad. But yeah,
Classic dad move.
No, nobody else really in my family was into wrestling. Actually, my grandpa was he still does. He's always watching the WWF, or at the time it was WWF. It's WWE now. And so, when 7 or 8, I thought that's what wrestling was, wanted to be like Bret the Hitman Hart, shout out to the Canadian, or, a Shawn Michaels or something, and that's what I thought wrestling was, and then to step out there on the mat and they throw a singlet at you and you're like,
where's the sharpshooter? Where's the sweet chin music?
Yeah, that's right.
I can't pedigree anyone.
When can I get on the top of the ropes and fly off of this thing,
Oh, man.
That's awesome. You got anything else for him? You got to get to some other interviews over here, but this was awesome.
How are you ending the night on June 10th?
Yeah.
Perfect world.
It's going to be late, we're on the main card. Everybody is always like, oh, what do you do afterwards? And this last time we got out of there soon enough because it was sped up, right? Because they wanted to have it on like Korean time essentially. And so we were able to like go out and club in Vegas, and I realized I'm not the
club guy.
Not the club guy.
Fair enough.
Give me a dive bar where some greasy food is or something.
Jackalope Lounge, bro.
Oh,
We're meeting up at the Jackalope Lounge when you get back.
UFC after
That's a
party.
lock. That's a lock.
So we'll see what's open in Vancouver, BC after it's all said and done. I'm definitely going to be getting some food afterwards. Probably a little bit of a Dr. Pepper or something.
Nice.
Most likely we'll be doing something the following night, which I think I come back like afternoonish that day, so I don't get an extra day in Vancouver, which is kind of a bummer, but we're coming back early, so maybe I'll be downtown somewhere.
There you go. You're going to see him out in the streets.
I love that.
And then one last thing, I'm going to pull like a schmo kind of thing when he does the interviews. But do you have anything you want to say to your fans? Anything? The camera's all yours.
Say to my fans, I'm going to plug my gym, Art of War MMA. I'm going to plug Convergence PT with Tyler Tanaka. Last year, I was very banged up and injured, and probably would not be here right now if I hadn't stumbled into his spot, down there, Park Street, I think South Park Street. Over by Palace Cafe. He's the man if you're looking for physical therapy. As an athlete, if you're looking for strength training, he's running strength training as well. So go pop in there, and he's going to give you the best version of yourself. I've definitely seen the improvements. I'm just going to tell my family I love them. Tell the city that I'm going up to Vancouver again. I'm most likely the underdog, so if you are doing any kind of sports betting, I love upsetting the Vegas odds makers. And
He's made people some money.
Yeah. So, at least tune in, watch me, and be sending positive vibes because I'm looking to put on a show.
It's going to be awesome. 9-3 Adam Fugitt making your third appearance in the UFC. That is crazy to say. He's fighting out of Eugene. When you hear that, fighting out of Eugene for Bruce Buffer, whoever's announcing, that has to feel good for you. The Eugene guy through and through, fighting Mike Malott, 9-1-1 in the cage. This is going to be a barn burner. If you've seen this guy fight, you're getting your money's worth. This is going to be so much fun. June 10th, UFC 289. Tune in. Going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being here right now on the TD show.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
Thanks
time.
for having me, guys.